What's going on, guys? I am Switters. Welcome back to the channel, and I thought I'd give you my final thoughts here on the Modern Warfare 2 beta now that both weekends are done. I made a little video after the first weekend letting you guys know that's not my optimal way to play is on the PlayStation. I just don't feel very comfortable on that controller. So I wanted to wait until after the Xbox beta when I could use my preferred controller and feel a lot more comfortable before I gave you my final thoughts, okay? So we're going to start off with what was good about it. And for me, the guns feel really good in a general sense. How they handle the mechanics of them, how you move with each of them, everything there is pretty good. What is the best part about it, for me at least, about the weapons, is the SMGs are really good, like really good. You know, the MP5, or the Lockman sub as we're calling it this year, is probably the best SMG that we have, but the other ones are very good as well. They feel very good. They can compete basically with the other weapons, and it hasn't been like that for a while now. There's been a couple of good ones here and there throughout all of the games that we've played over the last few years, but this year it feels really good, and I'm typically an SMG player, so for me, that's great. Also, the movement, your actual movement around the map. No more slide canceling, although it's technically, you can still kind of do it a little bit, but it's not nearly as broken as it's been in the last few games, really. Starting with Modern Warfare 2019, and then with Vanguard, it was pretty bad as well, like really bad, actually. It feels a lot smoother this year. I'm not crazy about the whole constantly having to hop around, you know, and doing run, jump, run, jump, you know, and then bunny hopping on top of the jump after that. But the just general moving around the map feels pretty good. And again, that they took out the slide canceling is pretty much a big deal for me. I'm glad that that's gone. Now the maps are pretty well designed, I think, for the most part at least. There's a couple of issues, like on Caldera, there's that it doesn't matter what game mode you're playing, you're always going to have a couple of people posted up in that middle lane with that like planter kind of thing, and that right in front of that half wall that you can jump up on top of, and the RV behind it, you can jump up on that. There's always going to be people posted up there, like I said, regardless of game mode that you're playing, and they're going to just mount up and kind of always be aiming down that aisle, that lane going right through the middle of the map. So that's not awesome, but in a general sense, I think the map designs are actually pretty good. I like the hotel map. I think a lot of people didn't like the hotel map. I think that's probably the best map that we saw in the beta, actually. And like I said, in a general sense, I just like the way they play better than Modern Warfare 2019. They're also a lot more colorful than Modern Warfare 2019, which is really nice. Bigger contrast in colors. In 2019, everything was kind of a muted green, gray kind of thing. It was very flat looking. And this year we have a lot more colors, so I'm very happy with that. As far as the gun shake, the kind of visual recoil that was a huge problem in the first weekend of the beta, they've taken care of it somewhat. I don't think it's perfect yet. I still think they could reduce the gun shake a bit more, but it's definitely better, although I have a feeling we might be kind of at its final form. We'll see what IW does with it, but as of now, I think it's probably at its final form. I hope not. And the smoke that comes out of the end of your barrel, so your visibility when you're actually engaged in a gunfight and you're trying to track your enemy, is way better than it was the first weekend, though again, it's still not perfect. I think it could still be reduced. I don't really understand why we need to have smoke coming out of the end of our barrels anyway, but both of those I think could be tweaked just a little bit more, and it would be just about perfect, and then the guns would feel really great. Okay, we're on to the bad stuff now. So that was just a quick little overview of things I like. Let's get into the bad stuff. The spawns are absolutely awful. It's happened to all of us. If you played the beta at all, you know what I'm talking about. You would spawn in, take 2 steps, and start being shot already. Like, okay, well, how did that happen? Now, again, this is a beta. Spawns are always bad during the beta. The real problem I have with it is that if we go back to last year, it makes me really nervous because Vanguard basically never changed how the spawn system worked. And we have squad spawns again as well. So I'm not crazy about that either, but when you spawn in and you're being shot already, or you take 2 steps and you're being shot, it's not good. I really hope they fix it. I hope they do a lot better than Vanguard did with changing their spawns, because again, with Vanguard, I really don't think they changed them at all. It was bad from the beginning, and it stayed bad throughout the whole year. I hope they do something about that. Next up is the Gunsmith menu, and the design I think is just absolutely horrible, like just so bad. If you want to have the Gunsmith and you have to use a certain weapon to unlock another weapon, that's fine. But I don't like that you have to use, let's say, an AR to unlock an LMG, and then use that LMG to unlock a sniper. If you want to make it so they give you like basically one of each class of gun, so you have one AR, one SMG, one sniper, etc., 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 and then in order to unlock more SMGs, you have to level up that particular SMG to get to the rest of them, and then so on and so on and so on throughout that particular class of weapon, I'd be okay with that. That would kind of force people to use a bit more, you know, the guns, what the game is actually offering you, rather than just finding the meta gun. And let's say it's the first or second weapon that you unlock. Well, why would I want to use a weapon that's worse than that when I can just stay with this one that I've already unlocked? So I don't really like the design of that at all. I don't like being forced to use a sniper to unlock an AR, for instance, or whatever the case might be. I'm just not crazy about it. And like I said, the actual layout of the menu, I made a whole video on this, so I'll keep this super short now. It's just really, really bad, I think. Next up is the perk system. Really not crazy about this, like that you have to earn over time and with kills or, you know, capturing a flag or doing whatever on a map to actually unlock that perk in the match. They've reduced the time drastically that it takes you to earn those perks, so that's good. But one of your first or second perks, if you're going to use it, has to be Scavenger. So if you want to use Scavenger, it has to be in your first or second perk. So you start the game with that. And again, I went over this as well in a previous video, but you don't need Scavenger right off the bat. Obviously, you're just loading into the match. You've got your full cache of ammo. So you don't need it right off the bat. You need it down the line where it would fit more naturally into, let's say, your third perk slot or your fourth even. I just don't think the layout of it is very good. And for me, I always use Fast Hands and Ghost. There's kind of two things that I always use when they're available for me. That's what I use. Fast Hands should be obvious. You know, you pull up your weapon faster. You can swap weapons faster, use equipment faster, all that kind of stuff. But that has to be in your third slot if you're going to use it. Ghost has to be in your fourth slot. Maybe we could just go back to having your standard perk setup. Like if you want these perks, okay, fine. And you have the balance. Well, you know, if you want Ghost, well, then you can't have Bird's Eye or you know, whatever. That's fine. Have them in their different classes, but not that you have to earn them at a certain rate or a certain time. I just really don't like that. I want to start the game with Ghost. I want to start the game with Fast Hands, period. And if I don't need Scavenger at the beginning of a match, you just don't need it. It doesn't make much sense to me. The Footstep audio is still, I mean, they said they were going to tone it down, and I didn't actually, you know, test this to see how loud it was, but this second weekend, it seemed almost as if it was louder. So I don't know what they actually changed there. It just, again, it encourages camping way too much. This whole game just encourages camping way too much for me, for my liking. But the Footstep audio is so loud. There's been so many times where I've been running around a corner and like, wait a minute, why did that guy know I was there? And then I'll watch the kill cam and you'll see a person that was completely running away from where I was, and then they'll hear me through 3 walls, turn around, pre-aim a door or an alley or whatever it might be, and then just insta-kill me like that as soon as I turn around that corner, because he can hear me. He can start pre-firing the moment I'm about to turn the corner. It's just way too loud. And they said they were going to make it much more discernible between your teammates' footsteps and the enemy's footsteps. And to me, I didn't notice much of a difference this second weekend. So I would really like it to be very noticeable who's your teammate and who is the enemy, especially with no red dots being on the minimap, because now there's not much reason to look at your minimap. So if you say, well, yeah, you can look at your minimap and see that your teammate's behind you, but I'm not checking my minimap very often anymore because there's no red dots showing up if somebody on the other team fires their weapon. So I'm not going to check it to see if there's anybody there, which leads me to one of the other issues. One is just the no red dots being on the minimap, I think is a terrible idea. A lot of people just say, well, you got to get good. I don't really know what that has to do with it, but that I'm just terrible because I I rely on red dots coming on the minimap or whatever. I don't see how it was an issue in the past. I don't know why we don't have it now. It's a part of a skill gap thing when you can learn to read your minimap properly as you're playing the game and paying attention to it up there. So I don't really get that. Another thing is, if your red dots aren't going to show up on the minimap when an enemy is firing their weapon, so you're not paying much attention to your minimap at all anymore, but then you'll turn a corner and you'll see there's a person standing there and there's no red bar above their name. So your initial thought is, okay, not an enemy, or I don't know anymore, maybe it is. But then this happened to me a bunch of times. So if you can say, all right, well, if you come around a corner or wherever else and you don't see a blue dot above their name, that's an enemy. But you can see your teammates' blue dots through 20 walls. It doesn't matter how far away they are. You can see the blue dot above their head. And it's happened to me multiple times where I've, again, come face to face with who I thought was a teammate, but it turns out it was an enemy because my teammate might have been 3 walls behind them, and that blue dot looks like it's above the enemy's name or the enemy's body. So I don't fire at them thinking, oh, that's just my teammate, and I keep going, and then I'm dead. Oh, okay. I don't understand why we don't have enemy names above their head in red or whatever color you like, but I don't understand that. It's just one of those things that if you're hopping around a corner or you're doing whatever, especially since you can hear footsteps so loudly, it'll give that rusher that chance to come around the corner, make a quick decision, that's an enemy, I need to fire there, or that's just my teammate, or whatever. You can make decisions really fast. Again, it's one of those things that just makes you just kind of, well, maybe don't rush then. Just kind of don't go flying around that corner. Don't go charging forward because they can hear you. They know you're coming. It's one of those things that I just don't think it makes much sense. It's something that they changed that I don't understand how it helps the game get better by not putting enemy names above their heads. I don't understand it. Skill-based matchmaking, there's no reason for me to really hit this. I think we all know. I mean, maybe you love it, maybe you hate it. I think most of us probably hate it, at least to the degree that they have it tuned up to, because it seems super high. It's very strict. I'm fine with having some degree of skill-based matchmaking in the game. It should never come over connection, though. It should never be the priority over connection, and I think it needs to contain a wider swath. It's too specific. And it's like you're constantly being readjusted, and then it's time to, is it time to bump you up? Or because you got bumped up into that kind of next tier of skilled player, and then you get wrecked for a couple of games, and then it drops you way back down, and then you go in and just absolutely destroy them, and then you get kicked right back up. It just doesn't make much sense to me. Another thing was, speaking of the footsteps that we were talking about too, you have dead silence, and it's a field upgrade. I don't like that it's a field upgrade. I wish it was just a perk. We were talking about perks earlier. Just put Dead Silence and Ghost in the same category, so you have to choose which one you prefer. That's all. I mean, I don't think they're going to actually change the perk system that much. I think we're kind of locked in from the way that they've been phrasing things. Infinity War, that is. It just feels like we're kind of locked into. It is what it is. But speaking of Dead Silence, so it's a field upgrade, which again I'm not happy about, but it is what it is. But then you can't just activate it and like click your bumpers and then boom, you're in dead silence. It's a fairly long animation. I think it's 2 seconds or a little bit over. And it's like, well, 2 seconds isn't that long. It's 2 seconds. Yeah, it's an expression. It'll only take you 2 seconds to do it. Go ahead and do it. But in game, where literal milliseconds count, as far as, you talked about coming around a corner and cameraing people. So you break the camera so you actually see them before they see you. It's the peeker's advantage. It's been in Call of Duty forever. Those 2 seconds are a lot. And not only that, but there's an alarm that goes off now when you activate your dead silence. So going, hey, somebody right next to you, or right behind this wall, or right over there, whatever, is activating dead silence. So it's just another thing. If the footsteps weren't loud enough, well, now you've got a literal alarm telling you, hey, somebody's over there and they're probably going to be coming this way. So just go ahead and post up and look at that door, or look at that alley, or look at this spot. It's not great. It's really not great. Overall, I gotta say, if there aren't major changes, and I don't suspect there will be, there wasn't for Modern Warfare 2019. Vanguard was basically the same way. I'm gonna play this game for a month, maybe two months, and then I'm just going to be very frustrated with it. I don't have a good time playing when I'm just camping really hard. It's just not fun for me. I like to move around the map. I like to use an SMG, like I was talking about SMGs before. I mean, it's my favorite category of gun. I like to move around the map, get some kills. I get killed a lot. I'm not a great player. I'm a pretty average player. I'm not going to enjoy when everybody can just kind of leave these field upgrades on the ground, like the portable radars, the suppression mines, the TAC cameras, all this kind of stuff. It just sets you up. Let's just talk about camping really fast. The way this game is laid out, again, footsteps, so loud. No enemy name tags above your head means if you want to be a little bit cautious, and you can be sure, hey, that's an enemy, you don't want to have to react to that super fast. You're just going to kind of watch that lane or that alley or that door, because then you'll be able to tell for sure. And then no red dots on the minimap, so you don't know where the enemy might be coming from. It makes you go, oh, well, I really shouldn't move. One, they're going to hear me. Two, I don't know if that's an enemy or not. Are my teammates over there, or is it an enemy? I don't know. I can't see if they don't show up on the mini-map. And then you have all these field upgrades, like the portable radar. You throw it down in a spot, and it sends out a ping every couple of seconds, letting you know, is there anybody an enemy within that circle, that little radius that the portable radar covers. There's suppression mines that you can just leave down on the ground. It causes the enemy to slow down, and messes with their vision and their hearing and all that kind of stuff. So again, it kind of just, you set it down and then watch that spot. TAC camera you put down, and you can literally watch that spot. All these things just lead you to don't move. Plus mounting. I really think they should take mounting out of the game. I really do. You can just mount up to a ledge or a door frame or whatever, and whatever weapon you're going to use is as straight as a laser. None of this encourages you to move. It encourages you to stay put and pre-aim. So they're not catering to multiple different play styles. They are 100% catering, just like Modern Warfare 2019 did, to one particular play style, and that is the camping. They can call it Sentinels as much as they want. That's Infinity Ward's little pet name for campers. But it's camping. It doesn't mean that rushers can't be successful. It doesn't mean that people aren't doing it or they won't continue to do it. It does mean that it's much more beneficial for you, as far as how this game is laid out, to camp your balls off and pre-aim a door or pre-aim an alley or whatever. So if nothing changes, I will probably play this for, like I said, for a month or two, and I'm going to be super sick of it. You know, we haven't even seen all the things that they're bringing into the game yet. I mean, there could be even more powerful shotguns coming. I'm not hopeful as it stands right now. And I've been hearing from a lot of people that after they played the beta, they have canceled their pre-order of the game, and they just don't think it's going to be worth it. They don't think it's going to be good. And I would do nothing to talk them out of it. I'm not saying that it will be bad, that the game won't be good or anything like that. I'm just saying, from what I've seen, I'm not particularly hopeful. And especially when you take into Modern Warfare 2019 into account. These are the same people. I mean, this could basically be Modern Warfare 2019 DLC that we're getting this year. So I'm not super hopeful. I hope I'm wrong. It would be great for me to be able to play the full year and really enjoy the game. Why wouldn't I want that? I mean, I love Call of Duty. I've been playing it for a decade now. So anyways, guys, those are my thoughts. I'm really curious as to what you're thinking after playing the beta, how you feel about it. Did you love it? I mean, I put out a poll on my community tab of my YouTube page, and I think, you know, either the choices were either I love it, it's good, or it's bad. And it's bad only had I think 8% of the vote. So it seems like most of you are really enjoying it. or at least enjoying it to some degree. So let me know down in the comments, is that just kind of the initial, it's a new Call of Duty, so I'm super excited to be playing a new game, or do you still feel that way? And there's no right or wrong to this. Again, this whole video is just my thoughts on the game and how I felt about it. So you guys let me know what you think, all right? I'll catch you in another one real soon. Take care, guys.